we're able to go to our experts and folks who are out on the campaign trail all around the country. And one of those folks, our Senior Counsel for Global Affairs, former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, who's traveling the country for House candidates, for Senate candidates. They're seeing what's happening on the ground. And Secretary Pompeo, I appreciate you being here. You got a new piece up at ACLJ.org. The Biden administration is crushing the American family, and you say that the Biden administration's attempt to supplant the family with big government is systematically crushing the American family. This should terrify us all. What ways do you see the Biden administration carrying this policy out?
Jordan, it's great to be with you. I'm actually calling in from Texas today. I'm helping good candidate conservatives win here in Texas. And this issue of family, Jordan, is so foundational. The ACLJ has been the center of protecting it for decades. And you see it in so many ways, right? The first of the things everybody can see and touch, right? Family's more at risk. You don't want your kids to go outside and play because you think it's unsafe. You can't ride the metro. You can't park your car in a parking garage without feeling threatened by crime. 12% inflation. That's essentially one paycheck a year, 1/12 of your income gone as a result of inflation. This has a huge impact on ordinary families all across the country. Their solution to that is forgive some student debt and provide more federal money for universal daycare, essentially supplanting basic ideas of being personally responsible and taking care of your own and having parents raise the children. This is bad for America and bad for the American family, and the Biden administration has made it as bad as we have seen in the last 25 years.
Mike, you cannot even go to a school board meeting right now as a parent without being the fear of being labeled. See, I'm not kidding, a domestic terrorist if you disagree with a school board policy or if you just want your voice heard. I mean, we used to encourage people. The first line of defense was go to the school board meeting and make sure you're actively engaged in what's happening in your local school. But now a parent does that. You're talking about crushing the American family, and the parents can be labeled, extremists and subject to who knows what, including arrest.
Oh, Jay, I wrote about this in that piece on ACLJ.org, this exact issue. You've got it right. So first they lock the kids out of schools, and then they want to lock the parents up. We're trying to fix what's going on in the schools. In literally the case, you had moms and grandpas going to school board meetings saying, you can't put this stuff in our kids' library. You can't teach our kids that America is a racist nation. Simple ideas that were accepted across a broad range of the political spectrum for decades in America. And the radical left, the extremist left, has moved us so far from that. And then you have a Justice Department and FBI declaring that these parents who go to these school board meetings may well be white supremacist domestic terrorists. This is dangerous. It's deeply inconsistent with America and its founding. And I am counting on the American people to begin to reclaim the country here in just 13 days.
Yeah, when you're traveling around the country, too, so right now you're in Texas, I would imagine that the issues are similar. In Texas, it might be that the border takes up maybe as number one, a top issue because they're dealing with it so much there, and of course, illegal immigration. But it seems like it's the economy. Again, this is the economy and feeling safe. Both those issues, economy and crime. And of course, what's going on internationally, too. People don't really like the way that America looks to the rest of the world.
So true. I was in Iowa earlier. I was in the Carolinas. I'm headed to Florida tonight. Every place I go, the American family is suffering from these same things, and they're all connected to Jordan. You actually laid it out perfectly. If you have a soft southern border and you allow 4 million people in the course of 20 months, there's more drugs in the street. You have the risk of more crime, and people feel less economically secure and less personally safe. So you're right, different slight parties where they go, but people can feel the uncertainty and the insecurity that has resulted from intentional decisions that the Biden administration made. I'll add, too, you're down in Texas. You can't do this without talking about energy. Every family is going to pay 25 or 30% more for electricity to heat their home or natural gas to heat their home this winter. That is going to be a cost that is enormous on the American family, and people are tired of it. It didn't have to be. These were political choices that were made by a president who tells us that the economy is strong as hell. When people are suffering, they can see that's not true, and I'm confident they're going to make a change.
Mike, when your administration was in power, we're talking less than 2 years ago. I mean, to see the world has changed in 24 months is mind-boggling. I mean, gas is, again, I just noticed here where our media studios are, that gas, again, is kind of crossed the $5 threshold for unleaded, and it was down a little bit, and then it popped back up. A bottle of ketchup is $8. I mean, the American family is really struggling on this. And then you look at the border, and you're in Texas right now, and you've got, literally in the dozens of terrorists being picked up on the watch list. And I'm saying to myself, and the reaction of the Biden administration is whatever you all were doing, do the opposite. But the American people are realizing the opposite is not working.
They can see it, Jay. And as much as the Biden administration says, don't believe your eyes, the American people can believe their eyes. President Biden says the economy is strong as hell. They know it's not true. Kamala Harris and the Secretary of Homeland say, hey, our border is secure. The American people can see that's not true. They tell us that our schools are performing just fine, and then we get the test scores from this last week showing that locking kids out of school for 2 years was a bad idea, and we knew it, Jay. We knew it when we did it, and they went with articles of faith and not science, and this has profoundly hurt the American economy. And to your point, around the world, the whole world's watching America, and they're seeing that we have become unmoored from our traditions, and that presents risk, whether that's Vladimir Putin invading Ukraine or what Xi Jinping has intentions on. We have to get it right here. The American people are counting on it.
Yeah, I've got one. I want to follow up on the international thing, and I know George's got a question too. And that is the administration, Biden administration, announced today that they're going to put in place sanctions against individuals associated with the Iranian regime while they're negotiating a deal that's going to expire before the deal would come into place. I mean, this is like insane. How dangerous is this situation in Iran? And we've got still millions. I will tell you this. We were contacted yesterday by relatives of people in Iran in jail. No, they're not given any – there's no judicial system there that's for real. And, I mean, they have one, but it doesn't do anything. And we're in a situation now where we're looking at taking possibly some of these cases to the UN's Committee on Arbitrary Detention. But it's like the administration, by getting into this deal, is going to prop up the very leadership that is suppressing and repressing these women protesters.
It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. So I'm happy that they put a few sanctions on folks who've done some bad stuff to the Iranian people. And what's happening to the Iranian people breaks my heart. But mostly what President Biden and Rob Malley and the gang have done is they've provided resources and succor and encouragement to the Iranian regime that is causing enormous harm to the Iranian people and putting our friend and ally, the nation of Israel, at real risk. The fact that they are still contemplating entering into a nuclear agreement, which in the best case will delay Iran's nuclear program by a couple of years, is totally inconsistent with the understanding of providing security for the American people as well.
Yeah, I wanted to ask this question too. We just got a couple minutes here. The Saudis the Saudi oil minister, who is directly related to the Crown Prince, put out a statement. Didn't name the U.S., but said that those administrations that are using strategic oil reserves that are manipulating markets, that, quote, it may be painful for months to come. So they're now seeing even the move by the Biden administration to dip into the strategic oil reserve. We've all talked about why it's a bad idea. They're using it for politics as a direct shot at them, and this continued rift between the U.S. and Saudis.
It's an enormous upending of what the Trump administration delivered, the work that we did in the Middle East. We built the Abraham Accords. We isolated Iran. We supported our friend and ally in Israel, and we had energy at all-time record low prices. Biden came in, and to Jay's point earlier, just kind of undid it because that's what Trump and Pompeo did. A bad idea for America. We shouldn't be dipping into the SPR. We should be dipping into the ground below our feet, providing American energy, affordable American energy for every American, and then helping the world by exporting it and creating enormous jobs and wealth here at home, too. The Greens have lost their mind. They've hurt America, and President Biden has bought into every bit of that.
Mike, we got less than a minute left. I want to ask you this. We're 13 days out. How do you see things right now going into the House and Senate?
It feels great. I've been out just about every day the last 12, 13 months, campaigning with candidates, meeting with school board leaders, folks who are running for district attorney. It feels really good, Jay. The American people can see that they are worse off with the Democrats in charge of the House, the Senate, and the White House. And I think the American people are going to flip that, both the House and the Senate. And I think we're going to win state elected offices, district attorneys, school boards, all across America.
I felt the same way. I've been in 3 states in like 5 days, and the Senate, I get the same sentiment. In Virginia, Florida, you could tell things are definitely moving towards the Republicans, I think, on this election. Mike Pompeo, former Secretary of State, and, of course, our senior counsel. Thanks for being with us. As always, appreciate your insights.